Okay.
Don't want to hear that.
All right, right. No conspiracies, no craziness. I got you.
Just a good day.
But why? You just want to know why I wear lipstick? Well,
No, motherfucker.
would it bother you if I put some on? You know why? I'll tell you one reason. Is because you should see the look on men's faces when you're in the bathroom, the men's bathroom, in the mirror, and just, oh my God, it's hilarious.
You're just you, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's hilarious. As entertainment, cheap entertainment. When you're my age and you can't afford Corvettes and hookers, and vacations, you know, you do what you can.
You can I have a French kiss?
Like go to France and kiss me
right now.
No,
Come on, man.
no.
Dude, I'm gonna walk away. And I probably got really bad breath.
Maybe if I put the lipstick on, a French kiss. I don't even French kiss. I know I never French kiss.
Let's do it a little bit. A little bit.
Well, you're serious. That tickles. Oh, you know how to kiss though. Where'd you learn all that? Hey, come here. Where are you going?
Hey.
All right. You leaving? All right. Well, will I see you at church dinner?
Yeah.
All right, baby. I'll see you around. I love you. It's good to see. You're making me blush. I love you. I love you, buddy. It's good to see you. Take care. I'm going to be at church dinner tonight.
You too,
All
man.
right.
We all get crazy sometimes.
Crazy? Yeah. Hey, man. Are you still living where you were living?
Yeah.
Cool. That's good you didn't lose your place or nothing like that.
I don't got lipstick on me.
No. You want some? I'll put some on. Hey, do you need anything? I don't know if you need.
I'm doing pretty good right now.
Okay. All right.
I'm not hurting.
Okay. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Happy to hear that. All right. I'll see you later. All right. Ciao for now, buddy. Don't take it too seriously. Serious. Bless his heart. I like that guy. I really do. I wouldn't have let him do that if he didn't. Oh, I am the question. I'm glad you got that. A little embarrassing, but see, I don't discriminate against anybody. But that's the truth. It's kind of fun. It's just different when you don't have the resources of landlords and lawyers and doctors and where's my son? He hasn't called back. Still hasn't called back. Where are you, boy? The network went down in the middle of our meeting, and they went outside in the dark in camera room. Linda came running out, forget to call Dad. Call me. Told him not to go outside if they didn't feel that door. Please, Lord, dear God, please let my son and my daughter be safe and okay. I know they are because they're in your hands. And they're in your hands. I know they're okay. I'm confident they're okay. And I know that the network was disturbing. The network's unnerving. And they explain at this time of day in that area that the network is just swamped. So, amen, Lord. Thank you for watching out after my full confidence and faith that you have. I'm still going to pray for them. I'm still going to close the meeting now. Amen. I guess we started with that. For that, do we have anything else to say? That was our friend. Doesn't matter what his name is. Doesn't matter who he is. That's confidential because we're confidential, kind of. Oh, there's more. Oh, hi. Those are some more friends from the homeless shelter. I made some friends there. Oh my gosh. Some very sexy friends too. Very smart. Not all of them are smart. Not all of them are friends. In fact, I've been robbed there a couple of times already. We got to the shelter 3 days after we spent 3 days. We were evicted on December 17th, spent 3 days sleeping on cold concrete in a garage. No heat, no. But there was no heat in the other place either. No, my bed got stolen too, so it was really a bed. There was carpet, but it was filthy disgusting. I always joked that it'd be warmer once I was homeless, and it was, because I found Manhattan Emergency Shelter. Thank you, Manhattan Emergency Shelter. Because I couldn't have roughed it out there again. I even went back that same day. I had cleaned my dorm carpets and had them hanging up, and they were dry outside on the porch on the 17th, and I went back around after I had left and let them clear out a little bit. I didn't realize they're clearing out. All my stuff was gone. That was outside. Bunny car, wheelchair. The shopping cart, the branded shopping cart that those nice ladies from the Flint Hills Bread Basket bought me because they knew that I walked around, didn't have a vehicle, and so they bought that for me. And I put it together. It was brand new. Gave me a case, put a nice little card on it. No, they're still on my phone. What else was outside? All my trash. That was right beside the landlord's boards and construction, and the toilet that he left out there, with the toilet plunger, black rubber toilet plunger sticking right out of the toilet seat, as if I like to sit on it or something. I begged him to take that out for 24 months. Please, please, please. I offered to do it. I offered to break it up. I offered to have other people do it. No, we'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. You can't do it. So I didn't. And then on the 17th of December, I have no idea. That's probably the first thing they did. Mere moments after their friends with the RCPD arrived at 814 Vermont, prompt number 2, to forcibly evict the tenant, Joel Peter Bales, age 46, who up until recently had 0 criminal record, who up until very recently had paid those landlords faithfully on time on December, or every day, every 3rd of the month, sometimes earlier if the Social Security Disability Income people sent the checks in earlier on a weekend, or a holiday or whatever. Never a day late, never a time late. Never, ever, ever. Always paid in full, never payment arrangement. Very often forced to pay more than full, as the record will demonstrate. How much more than full? Well, I'm not quite sure now. I think those numbers have gone up a lot in the last few weeks, last day, because this landlord has violated the letter and the spirit of the Kansas Land Tenant Act, and despite promises from the RCPD that they were storing, the landlord was going to store my stuff for 30 days, and I had 30 days to contact them with all the balance they were alleging due, and appropriate storage fees, that I get my stuff back, as long as I contact them within 30 days. And how long did it take me to send one of my family members to call the landlord and tell them I had all their money that they were alleging, plus storage fees? Now, I don't want it back in. Just give me my stuff back. Give me my personal property back, please, because I've sat there and watched what you do to tenants. They're not in the business of renting to nobody. They're in the business of evicting. Evicting for them is obviously clearly much more profitable than the rental business. And unfortunately for me, and unfortunately for them as well, and unfortunately for RCPD, and unfortunately for everybody, unfortunately for my dear dead mother and my grandmother passed, everybody, the heirlooms, the antiques that I've been entrusted, the only things that I had to remember and buy, it's not the monetary value of those things, that because those kinds of things become priceless to a person like me when you only have a couple of things to remember people by. I'm a sentimental tourist kind of guy. Sentimental. And I was crying all day last night, all night last night, and all morning this morning, and son and daughter asked me, "Why are you crying, Dad? Why are you crying, Dad?" And I was like, well, these aren't tears of joy. But I'm not upset with you guys. And I explained to him that I was upset because, well, I feel kind of somehow responsible, like I've done something wrong. Somehow I did this wrong, where my mother's dishes and antiques are thrown out my door on the ground, broken up on the ground, along with my grandmother's. That's my reward for putting up with what I had to put up with, and paying this landlord not only everything that it was allegedly due per our original agreement, but oftentimes more, charged for every guest, whether they stayed a day, 2 days, 3 days, forced to have roommates that I never asked for, never wanted, demanded not to have. Accommodated their realtor a dozen times this year, made sure the place was showable. But no one actually ever came up. Well, one time, 2 times. There's 2 people that showed up. And their realtor, Larry Limbacher, can attest that, yes, Mr. Bales' apartment was clean the 2 times. When I brought those 2 people up, it was clean. And the other appointments that I made with Mr. Bales, well, even though he did drop everything, Larry Limbacher made his appointments 24 hours in advance, at least. And when he came to my door and posted a note or talked to me, spoke with me directly, Mr. Bales dropped whatever he had going on and made sure that apartment was clean and showable for any potential buyers. But nobody ever really, after those 2, really made it up there, because once they saw the downstairs was stank, I think they could smell it probably. I sure could. Upstairs, dog shit, whatever else there was down there, stank, and it looked like shit too. Until what was it, the end of July, when landlord got in there and busted ass, redecorated, new carpet, new paint, new curtains, new floors, new doors. What else is going on down there? Oh, new appliances. New appliances. And what else is going on down there? Oh, housewarming gifts. Housewarming gifts. This tenant must be pretty special. I thought, wow. Housewarming gifts? I never got housewarming gifts. Landlord. I never get any housewarming gifts. So I did feel a little left out, a little bit, but that's okay. I knew there was something up with that. Why would you get a tenant? Number one, why would you do shit for anybody? Because you don't do shit for anybody else. Something's up here. You're actually not only cleaning the place, you're actually replacing broken windows and doors that have never been hung since you've been there, since you've seen it, even despite your request to help those neighbors, despite their request, please, to help, give me some privacy, put a door on the place. This one did all the common area painting and work. This one planted gardens. This one bought hibiscus trees for their property and planted them. Didn't ask for a dime, didn't ask for a dollar, did it? That's just not because I'm a really good guy, but because I don't like living in a dump either. I don't, even though I've lived in plenty of dumps. I don't like that either. Anyway, what was that point there? We were doing that guy, and we're talking about Larry Limbacher. We're talking because this is what we're dealing with here. Then we got to deal with all this deleterious lawsuit stuff because a landlord's filed a lawsuit against yours truly. The filing date was November 19th, 2018, with 21st Judicial District Court of Riley County, Kansas. And that very same day, a hearing was scheduled for the 5th day of December on 2018. Let's see how many days that is. So this landlord knew on November 19th, right before Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving break for school and stuff. The landlord knew right before Thanksgiving that there was a court date that he had made scheduled for December 5th, 2002. Now, who else knew about that date? Well, it doesn't really matter. I know the tenant sure didn't know about that date, did they? No, no, they didn't know about that date. Well, eventually the tenant learned about that date, but nowhere near the advanced date, because it was so sad. So sad they had to do all this stuff just to get me, and they would do that. I didn't want to be there. I didn't do that. Let's see. This one never likes to stay where it's not working. Okay, so November 19th, here we are. It's a Monday. It's a Monday. So the landlords knew on November 19th because they filed it. So the court clerks know, but it's not the court clerk's responsibility to do anything about that. The judge might have seen it on the docket, but again, it's not any of the judge's responsibility to do anything about that. Arguably, the RCPG, who's in charge of evictions, in charge of evictions, Officer Stevens, S-T-E, that's with a B, E-N-S. He appeared to, I think he knew, at least by, I don't know what he knew by, but we'll say that he knew before this one did, right? Where is the stuff? Hold on with me, sorry. This is the tenant's original answer to the eviction petition, the landlord's eviction petition. The tenant was compelled to answer, of course. And reading the information that the tenant read that he was given, provided by the summons by the RCPD on the Sunday before the, what was this, a Wednesday hearing in the middle of finals week, who takes finals, or I had 2 finals weeks. Anyway, what's his official title? Officer Stevens, RCPD. I saw it somewhere. So I'm just saying, arguably, this Officer Stevens had advanced information, you know, because he was the person he wasn't the person that gave this one summons, but he was the, here he is. Officer Stevens, number 70 with the Riley County Police Department. Officer Stevens, number 70, is the Civil Process Warrant section. Riley County Police Department. 785 is their phone number. 785-537-2112, extension 1904. This is the full color notice with the tenant's name, middle name too. So they did my middle name. Oh, that's great. And they did full color, and they have a docket number or a case number here. I looked through this. I didn't see a date on this piece of paper. And this was the piece of paper that was... This wasn't the piece of paper that the officer provided. This wasn't the summons. This piece of paper, this was found taped to the door. There was a front door on the common area of the porch that is known that this one doesn't use. I used it, I think, on November 2nd, only to knock on the door up to downstairs number 1 to ask him to call the landlord because, boom, I'm locked out. Mysteriously locked out within 24 hours of the landlord receiving certified letter from the City of Manhattan Fire Department, Code Enforcement Ordinance Office, fire department guy, who sent the landlord, I'm not sure what it's called, the notice to repair or something like that, citing some of the same things that this one was promised would be fixed before he moved in. 24 months later, it wasn't fixed after he moved in. which ended up actually going, you know, that's why this one thought a rent strike, oh, maybe I'll get something done with the rent strike. Yeah, I understand rent strikes. I do, especially now. I do, especially now, understand how, you know, rent strikes are illegal in Kansas. It kind of indicates that they might be legal somewhere, I'm not sure. But this tenant's last recourse, after arguably 20, I paid rent for 24 months straight, no questions asked. Well, yeah, I asked for receipts, then I asked for a lease, and never got a lease, never got a copy of the lease. They said they were going to fax it to this government program known as Kansas Care Through Housing, administrated by the University of Kansas and Jamie Thorstenberg, whom this tenant was referred to recently when this tenant was, you know, in town. This tenant's family's in town here in Manhattan. We're in Manhattan, Kansas, by the way. And this tenant had lived in Manhattan, Kansas prior, 10 years earlier, where he was employed by a media corporation, media company, communications company in the advertising department for a radio station group of about 7 radio stations in Kansas. At that time, that included KBLS, Sunny 102.5, KBS, well, it was part of the group, but not exactly. Well, maybe it was. Gosh, it's 10 years ago. Long story short, tenant was here 10 years ago. Was a renter then, 10 years ago. Had known of the program 10 years ago, forgot all about the program. Didn't think he would be eligible again until the landlord suggested that program and convinced him that he was eligible. And Mr. Thorstenberg agreed that this tenant was eligible. And, oh, that lease. So the tenant does remember a lease that was typed out now and filled in and signed for, I think it was a total of $650 a month for $814 for month, Fremont 1E, apartment 2, or according to Cox, apartment MC, the upstairs apartment. What's the point? Oh, there's so much to do with it. Okay, government program, Kansas Care Through Housing, formerly known as Housing Opportunities for People with AIDS. Now, how would I be eligible for a program like that? Well, arguably either A, I had AIDS, HIV AIDS, in this lifetime, and I've been ill and compromised, and that seems reasonable. Or B, I defrauded the Housing Opportunity Program for people with AIDS, Kansas Care Through Housing, and the University of Kansas, and Jamie Thorstenberg, and the Housing and Urban Development Department, Federal Housing Development, and Section 8, and the Kansas, Flint Hills Area Agency, Flint Hills Area, something on aging, the other housing authority. Who else would I have defrauded to do this? Oh, I'd have to defraud the landlords, of course. If it was a fraud, I'd have to defraud them too. They'd be the primary defrauded. Anyway, point taken, we get your point. So is it either A, this person was unhealthy enough to qualify for this program for persons with compromised immune system, AIDS, non-medication, because Kansas Care Through Housing. Kansas Care Through Housing, housing opportunities for people University of Kansas. Ryan White. Oh, I'd have to defraud. I would have had to defraud Ryan White too, and the landlord, and Jane Felixenberg. Well, I'm just gonna say I didn't. I'm gonna suggest that I didn't do that, and that I was a member of the class of persons of the first option. I have a person with AIDS seeking housing opportunity because legally disabled and have a limited income now. This is after a corporate career, a 30-year career in journalism, mass communications. 30-year career. Where's my son? 30-year career of journalism and mass communications, and a reputation as an activist, civil rights activist, human rights activist, stand up for the underdog. That's a 30-year career of working with folks like Mike Angelo. 1992, Hudson Community College news editor, me, Meyer, whole day, afternoon, lunch. Know why the cage bird sings, that one. Presidential poet laureate. I'm not dropping names of anybody that's not really already passed. Nobel. No, I had 7 Nobels in my phone. Who's passed? Dr. Marvin S. Antelman. Marvin, rest your soul. Passed away October of 2013, as I recall. Elderly, he's elderly. Science inventor, Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Inventor of U.S. patents. Protocol for helping people with immune disorders. That's how we came to know each other. Founder of a clinic called Marintech out of Rhode Island. Supreme Court Justice, not of the Supreme Court though, but of the American Jewish Supreme Court, Chief Supreme Court Justice, published author of titles in the 1970s, which are still very, very relevant today. To Eliminate the Opiate, Volumes 1 and Volume 2, available yet today on Amazon.com, where who else's books are available? No, I'm just suggesting my books might be there. You get lost so easy. Nobel, that's what we're on. Dr. Marvin S. Antelman, rest your soul, Marvin Antelman. Thank you for being my friend, my colleague. Thank you for allowing me to call you a friend. Maya Angelou, thank you for enlightening me, educating me, putting up with me, tolerating a punk college kid, and forcing me to find out myself why the cage bird sings, why the cage rat sings, why the cage person with AIDS sings. Where are we? So anyway, I would have had to, I'd have to really, as a degree journalist and a leader in the truth movement, I would have really had to pull the sheep over a lot of people's eyes, or no, the wool over a lot of people's. I'd have had to pull the sheep over a lot of wolves. A lot of this, the dementia. Sorry, forgive me. No, sorry. It's a byproduct of AIDS. I can't believe I have to go through this here. We were on something, I don't remember. It's one part of the reason I'm legally disabled. I cannot hold a job and cannot work like normal persons, like I used to work like a normal person. I never worked like normal persons, but at least I can get there. Remember where I worked. Anyway, what's the point? Which point? Officer Stevens, we don't know when this was pasted on the door. However, we do have video of when it was taken off the door. And I'm not sure when that video was, but it was not. My point is this. Here's the point. November 19th, from your calendar. November 19th. We're broadcasting from Manhattan, Kansas, aka Itville, USA, aka Legal Itville, Legal Apple, where Riley County Police Department Officer number 70, Officer Stevens, the warrants and evictions guy pasted to the door, taped to the door, a full color, wherever it is, you saw it, full color eviction, here it is, full color, to reduce crime and improve the quality of life. I like this. For the citizens we serve. To Joel, Peter, Bales, and any other occupants. Court order that has been issued. So the court order, we know this much. The court order wasn't ordered and signed until the 10th. Is that right? I think that's right. No, they got a summary judgment on December 5th at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, where this one didn't attend the hearing because this one had less than 72 hours notice, because the summons from the Riley County Police Department came a rainy Sunday night. Make sure it's Sunday night and that's it. It doesn't really matter. 72 hours, 3 days or 4 days. 4 days max notice during finals that this was a real... Actually, I didn't have evidence that this was a legitimate eviction until when? Until December 10th on the afternoon thereof, when we spoke with Riley County Court 21st Judicial District employee, a nice lady by the name of Karen. Unless I'm just lying and making that up. I'm going to have to ask Karen if there's even a Karen that works there. But I think there is, because I remember that name. And I remember what she said to me. She said, "No, Joel, this is the judge signed that this afternoon. The judge signed it the afternoon of the 10th because the judge, as I understand, had to wait 5 days, maybe, or 5 business days, 5 court days." Long story short, December 5th was the day of the hearing. Tenant defendant didn't make it because tenant defendant had prior obligations, number one. Number two, tenant defendant wasn't even sure it was a legitimate eviction, because the landlords have established not only a trend but like a pathology of lying, and especially about evictions. 72-hour evictions. How many did the tenant defendant receive during his 24-month tenancy, where he paid full price, extra full price, under the threat of eviction, everything, you know, actually it began in January 2017 with Dalton, John, Henry, Craig, and his girlfriend, Sarah Nicole. That's another story in itself. We'll get to that. Paid $100 a piece for them. That began January 2017 for a 10-day stay. They stayed until the 18th of January. It might have actually been longer than 10 days, but not much if it was. Go figure that out. And by that time, Mr. Bales had paid $100 a piece for his guests who didn't shower anyway. They slept most of the time because Mr. Bales was trying to sober them up. They contacted Mr. Bales to help get clean, because Mr. Bales was a friend of the family, still is a friend of the family. He made a promise to his grandfather, because his grandfather and my dad were neighbors. And long story short. And his grandfather, and Dalton also knew, and Joel, but Peter Bales had a zero tolerance policy as far as it came to illicit drugs. That's the absolute honest truth. And that's Dalton Craig, Dalton John Craig, but he's a liar too, pretty much. Can't really. Not sorry, Dalton. I know you hate that, and I hope you get better. But you've said a lot of things that weren't true. And see what that does to your credibility. You know, now I could really use you. I could really use, because I know what you would say about me. If that's what you said about me, it would be honest and true, because that was honest and true. Mr. Bales maintained a zero tolerance policy for illegal drugs and substances, controlled substances, for most of his tenancy, but not all of it. I think it was January. By January of 2018, Mr. Bales, I give up. Well, smoke your drugs, do your drugs, just leave me out of it. Now, that's kind of how it went. And how did that happen, Paul? Because Mr. Bales did do this he's been a counselor for suicide awareness and prevention for some time, and that can be confirmed through, well, his degrees and his work. I'm not going to give you any clients' names because that's confidential. But I could give you, I could present my colleagues, not Pawnee Mental Health. No, I don't work with them or for them, and I don't work for headquarters either. I work with them. I volunteer. I'm a volunteer. They're the professionals. They're the trained professionals whom I referral. You know, if someone contacts me, I have people that I can contact to help hook them up with the services they might need. All that Mr. Bales had done was post internet ads on Craigslist back page, his own websites, and the newspapers for what? A 72-hour marathon telethon sing-along, or marathon sing-along telethon beginning in the first holiday of Thanksgiving, suicide season. I call it suicide season. Everybody, I think, has been affected by suicides in Kansas because statistically the numbers would just indicate that's probably true. That's definitely true of this one. And Mr. Bales said, you know, if you're gonna talk the talk, you're gonna walk the walk. And if you're gonna do that, and you see that suicide is higher, the rates of suicide are higher among LGBTQ youth than perhaps non-LGBTQ youth. We'll just put S in there too. I argue that these kids have no idea because they're so young. How do they know? I don't know. I don't see how they can know. But persons that are, that's why I'm a sexual identity crisis counselor, because I had sexual identity crisis. Sometimes I still have. So it's my argument that these kids haven't really had an opportunity to, or nor the freedom, nor the ability to explore their sexuality, because there's stigma, hate, bullying, lots of things associated. I mean, people don't just go and kill themselves because they're chronically depressed. Chronic depression's been and bipolar. Mental illness has been my mental illness. 15, 16. Been on medication, probably even earlier than that. Oh, Mr. Bales went through drug and alcohol addiction rehabilitation. Inpatient. Now, as an adult, as a teenager in high school, Mr. Bales began his 12-step program. St. John's. There used to be a place in Salina, Kansas called St. John's, where Sister Mary Margaret and Mr. Bales became friends there in the inpatient treatment. Went there with Mr. Eric Voss, one of his high school friends. Class of 1990, Pratt High. Eric Voss, class of 1989, a state wrestling champ. Sexy. He's still sexy. No, you're not sexy anymore. I don't know. I haven't seen you. I bet you probably are. Anyway, me, I just get sexy. Why do you wear lipstick, JP? Can't afford Corvettes and hookers. I'm just kidding. Yes, I can. Of course I can afford Corvettes and hookers. I've been defrauding the powers that be and everybody for some subsidized rent. So of course I can afford hookers and Corvettes. Duh. But I just prefer the $2 lip gloss. I gotta make my hooker money from the disability check go as long and far as it can. Anyway, suicide prevention and awareness. Oh, so I met a client. Can I say their names? No, I really can't. Okay, long story short, these people are known by people in the community. In fact, I'll ask them if I can tell you what, though. You can go to any of one of my websites. They've offered an endorsement. So if a person wanted to, no, I can't even say that because they're unrelated. And that would cross-reference, no, I can't say that. I would have to have permission from these persons. But suffice it to say, it was a real-life crisis. It was a real-life suicide crisis where it was two people, a heterosexual couple, I believe they might have even been married. Maybe, it doesn't matter. One of them was up in the Topeka psych ward or ICU. Anyway, it was bad. One of them had attempted suicide. And the other one was distraught and was in Mr. Bales' apartment on the holiday of the New Year. And that person was almost inconsolable. However, that person had with her some illicit drugs apparently that she wanted to partake in, and this one JP, aka Mr. Miller, whatever. Go ahead, do whatever. I'm not looking. So there's zero tolerance, but zero tolerance too. Didn't it? When did zero tolerance become whatever? You do. I'm not the police of the world. Can't police everybody. Maybe that we have to look at the count. That might not be right. That's not right. No, that's not right. My bad. Take it all back. Scratch that. I moved to scratch all of that from the record. That's not right. That's not right. That's not true. It was the summer of 2017. Actually, that didn't last very long. Because you were tolerant. Well, it lasted 45 years. Or not 45 years. Okay. Get with it. Let's say from graduation of high school, 1990. That'd be safe. It was actually junior year. Sophomore year in high school. 1989, 1988. Until the summer of 2017, let's see, 8 months, October, November, December, and let's just say July, round it out. So that's 7 plus 3, that's 10. Okay, Joel Peter Bales maintained a zero tolerance policy against illicit illegal drugs, for, I don't do the math, I don't know. Just say since graduation, since 1990 until 2017, July of 2017. He moved back to Manhattan October 3rd, 2016, same day that he took possession of aforementioned rental union and aforementioned landlords. So 10 months, his zero tolerance policy against drugs in Manhattan was well known, enforced very loudly. Please be my son. Enforced until such time it became it became untenable, and Mr. Bales was not. Man, where's my son? And Mr. Bales said, you know what? Do whatever you're gonna do. Just don't get me involved with it, please. And I believe there are plenty of people who can, other people that would be willing to testify to that fact. That's a fact. And Mr. Bales would further suggest that it's not a crime to not have a zero tolerance policy. Those were the standards that Mr. Bales held himself to, and asked that other persons who were his guests or in his areas to also hold themselves, his associates, people that he associated with. However, when you're a counselor, you can't really pick and choose. I'm not going to help you because you. Zero tolerance, no help from me. Can't do that. No matter how much you want to. So anyway, damn me to hell that my policy otherwise, I wouldn't be able to help much of anybody here in Manhattan, Kansas. Because Mr. Bales will also suggest that he doesn't have much experience with the drug scene per se. However, he's got a lot more now since being in Manhattan since October 3rd, 2016. And especially in a house that's apparently notorious. He would learn this later on, too. Of course, he would never have moved in there had he known an iota about what he knows now. But apparently this house also had still has a reputation. There he is, there's son. Still has a reputation, but had a reputation 10 years or more earlier. That Mr. Klutz and Mr. Campbell, the landlords, that this property was known as a trap house, as a drug house. That's a long time. All my sons. I got sons, I got buns, I got funds. So Mr. Bales is going to sign off because he's got things to do here, but the point being this. Mr. Bales was provided 4 days, perhaps 4 days or less, to answer an eviction petition that was this appeared on his door, at least on the 10th or later, right? It'd have to appear on his door at the 10th or later, but it wasn't even his door. Arguably, it was the front door to number 1, because Mr. Bales was prohibited, expressly prohibited by the landlord and by the new tenant, his Menard's friend, Mr. Thomas Reed, whom he moved in to apartment number 1, directly below Mr. Bales. And Mr. Bales believes for the express purpose of doing what he did. The more I talk about this, it's disgusting. What's your point? I didn't use the porch. I didn't use the front door. And the landlord is perfectly aware that I didn't use that because he told me not to. Even though prior to October 3rd, 2016, when this tenant moved in, a person could not, it was a fire hazard, a person could not even walk across the porch, that porch, to the front door. The tenants in the apartment then, the Asian couple, Michelle and Giselle at Paws and Pets, or Tips and Toes, they were just slobs, I guess, you know. That porch was piled full of aquariums and trash bags, their house trash. They just put it on the porch, and when the porch was full, they just put it in the hallway, the little common hallway. Mr. Bales it took him about 2 weeks to totally clean it up. That's a fact. Let's go see if we can find someone that would verify that fact. I don't know if I have pictures. I didn't start really taking pictures of like baseline pictures until the dog shit incidents, which proceeded really quickly thereafter. Because by January I was having 36 piles of Great Dane dog shit from the people down number 1. One big pile a day, pile up until there was 36. I had counted, I believe, 36, 30. I have all those pictures. That's when I started really taking pictures of crap down there. But I have all those, and we'll find a witness. We'll find an eyewitness somewhere. They can say, yeah, you can even get off that porch, or in that porch, until Mr. Bales moved there, and clean that porch off. Not only did he clean it off, Mr. Bales cleaned that porch off, and put some, not lawn furniture, but, you know, patio furniture on there to sit there to utilize that porch. Additionally, Mr. Bales hung Christmas garlands and Christmas lights around the porch to, you know, holiday spirit. Mr. Bales was pretty happy to be there. Although he got there with zero furniture and no furniture, he had his health, and he had his mind, and he had a vehicle at that time as well, but not for long, because October, November, December, that vehicle was gone by January. That's another story for another time. Another story for another time. Mr. Bales has suffered a lot there. A lot there. And the more Mr. Bales considers the facts, the more upset Mr. Bales becomes. But Mr. Bales has to, you know, can't put his head in the sand, gotta face it head on. He doesn't want to caught. People might think I'm being vindictive, but Mr. Bales isn't being vindictive. You're compelled, when you get stuff like this, you're compelled to answer, especially when the landlords perpetrate fraud upon not only Mr. Bales, but upon 21st Judicial Court of Riley County, Manhattan, and Officer Stevens of the Riley County Police Department, and the Ryan White Housing and Urban Development Ryan White Program, formerly known as Housing Opportunities for People with AIDS, and currently known as Kansas Character Housing, and the University of Kansas, his alma mater. And be all the above. Perpetrator fraud. We'll get into this next. We're going to get into what this landlord has written here, even though he can't spell. And I'm going to have to scan this in so you can read how uneducated this landlord is. You know, the person would think Mr. Klutz would know better. Don't know. I don't know how you can get through life knowing how to spell like this. But again, you know, that's not fair because I'm a journalist. And I'm a stickler for semantics and literacy. Not everybody is. You don't have to be. A lot of people get through life not even knowing how to read. And that's clearly apparently true, too. So anyways, our argument here in this segment is that Mr. Bales had 4 days to answer a bunch of lies while he was in the middle of finals, which the landlords knew he was in the middle of finals because he'd been an educator since the day he moved in, October 3rd, 2016. He'd been a volunteer tutor for persons seeking assistance assistance using the internet. How's that? Because not everybody knows how to use the internet either. And Mr. Bales found something he can help people do. Mr. Bales wants to be helpful. That's what Mr. Bales tries to do. And I would argue that Mr. Bales has been very helpful. Mr. Bales has been quite helpful to everybody except Mr. Bales sometimes. But we're going to have to change that too. I even tried to be helpful to the transgender persons here. They didn't want his help. Neither did the homos. Neither did anybody really, except the persons that asked for his help, like the suiciders, the drug addicts, the homeless people, and the grandson of his father's neighbor, the family friend, Aunt John, and whatever. Arguably, his pet rabbit didn't ask for his help, but Mr. Bales isn't convinced that the psychic rat didn't ask for help. But that's another story for another day. We gotta go. We got our son here in Africa who, the landlord hates